Have you noticed how some people just fade away? Not because they've given up on life, not because they're tired or broken, but because they've found something the rest of the world can't quite see. They don't slam doors on their way out. They don't leave long, dramatic goodbyes. They simply vanish, quietly, almost gracefully. And while everyone else is busy scrolling, arguing, proving themselves, and chasing the next shiny thing, these people are quietly stepping out of the noise and into a completely different reality. If you've been feeling like you don't quite fit anymore, like the conversations around you sound more like static than connection, you might be closer to this path than you realize. And that's exactly why this video exists. Today, we're going to uncover why the most spiritually awake people are leaving, why they're disappearing, not as a form of escape, but as a radical act of evolution. Here's the twist you won't see coming. Their disappearance isn't the end of their journey. It's not retreat. It's the doorway to something far more authentic, something most of the world isn't ready to face. And if you stay with me through this, by the end of this video, you won't just understand why this is happening. You'll know exactly what these quiet departures mean for your own path, your relationships, and even the future of our collective consciousness. Before we go deeper, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. Not because it's some random YouTube ritual, but because if you've been feeling that quiet pull to step away yourself, you'll want to be part of this space where we decode what others can't even see. Imagine this: you're sitting in a crowded cafe. The air hums with overlapping conversations, phones buzzing, laughter that doesn't quite reach the eyes. There's movement everywhere, energy swirling without direction. And then, in the corner, you notice someone different. They're not scrolling. They're not performing for anyone. They're just still, present, almost invisible, like they've already left, even though their body is sitting right there. Spiritually awake people often reach a point where the collective noise becomes unbearable. It's not arrogance. It's not depression. It's the weight of seeing too much, feeling too deeply. While everyone else is still playing a game, they don't even realize they're in. The truth is, once you start to awaken, you can't unsee. You can't slip back into the comfortable illusions that used to hold everything together. And that's when the real tension begins. The louder the world becomes, the more you crave silence. The more meaningless the surface interactions feel, the more you long for conversations that go beneath the skin. And when you realize how few people are ready for that depth, something inside you begins to shift. Carl Jung once described individuation as the process of integrating the parts of yourself you've been hiding, the shadows, the repressed truths, and stepping outside the roles society hands you. Sounds poetic, right? But here's the messy part no one likes to talk about. Individuation isn't glamorous. It doesn't make you more special. It doesn't guarantee you'll be loved or understood. It just makes the world's illusions more obvious, and sometimes painfully so. When you reach that point, everyday life starts to feel like wearing clothes that don't fit. The conversations you used to enjoy now feel hollow. The ambitions you once chased start to look like distractions. Even your relationships can feel like they belong to a past version of you. This is where many people resist. They fight to stay in the old life, to keep playing the old role, even as their soul begs them to step out. But some, they listen, and when they do, they don't make a big announcement. They don't post a dramatic goodbye on social media or explain themselves to everyone who demands an explanation. They just leave, quietly, deliberately, because they've realized something profound. You don't need the world's permission to evolve. But here's what most people get wrong about this stage. Leaving isn't about rejection. It's not about I'm better than you, or I don't need anyone. It's about creating space to grow into who you really are, beyond the noise, beyond the expectations. Think about a caterpillar. We love to romanticize the transformation into a butterfly, but no one talks about what actually happens in the cocoon. The caterpillar doesn't just sprout wings overnight. It completely dissolves into a chaotic, formless soup before becoming something new. That's what this quiet disappearance is. A dissolving of the old self, in private, away from the constant gaze and opinions of others. Because not everyone deserves front row seats to your becoming. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. When someone begins this withdrawal, People around them usually react with confusion, even anger. Friends say things like, "You've changed." Family might guilt them with, "Why don't you come around anymore?" And society at large, it tends to label this withdrawal as selfishness, antisocial behavior, or even failure. Because a person who doesn't play by the rules is a threat to the game itself. And maybe you felt that too. That subtle pressure to keep showing up, keep smiling, keep pretending everything is fine, even when deep down, you know you've outgrown it all. This is why so many people stay stuck. They're terrified of being misunderstood. But the ones who truly awaken reach a point where the pain of staying small outweighs the fear of being judged. Ironically, the very people who disappear quietly are often the ones with the most love for humanity. It's not about abandoning the world. It's about healing enough to return to it differently. Like a monk who goes to the mountain, not to escape forever, but to bring wisdom back down when the time is right. And that's what no one sees from the outside. When someone disappears into solitude, it's not the end of their story. It's the beginning of a deeper chapter, a chapter where they confront their shadows, rebuild their inner world, and reconnect with the parts of themselves they had to hide just to survive in society. When they emerge, they carry a different energy, one that subtly shifts every room they walk into, even if no words are spoken. But let's pause for a moment here, because I know what you might be thinking. You might be wondering, am I one of those people? Is this why I've been feeling so restless lately? Maybe you've noticed yourself withdrawing from certain conversations. Maybe you've been craving solitude, not out of sadness, but out of necessity. Or maybe you've been sensing a quiet call to something bigger, something you can't even name yet. If that's you, here's the key thing to remember. There's nothing wrong with you. In fact, it might be the most powerful sign that you're waking up. The world will try to convince you that your withdrawal is a problem to be fixed. But in reality, it's often the soul's way of preparing you for a leap forward. There's a deeper layer to all of this, and it has to do with cycles. Throughout history, every great transformation, personal or collective, begins with a period of retreat. Think about inventors, artists, spiritual leaders. Before they brought their gifts to the world, they disappeared for a while. Van Gogh in his studio, Buddha under the Bodhi tree. Even modern visionaries often vanish from public view before unveiling something groundbreaking. It's a universal pattern: withdrawal, transformation, return. But here's where spiritually awake individuals differ. Their disappearance isn't about creating art or inventions. It's about reshaping the very fabric of their consciousness. And when enough people do this at once, it creates a ripple effect. The energy they cultivate in solitude subtly influences the collective, even if no one ever knows their names. So when you see someone stepping back, don't rush to judge. They might be doing silent, invisible work that has more impact than any loud performance ever could. Now, let's bring this back to you. If you've been feeling that same urge to leave quietly, here's what I want you to hear. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to justify your desire for solitude. And you certainly don't need to feel guilty for choosing your evolution over their expectations. This stage isn't forever. It's a sacred pause, a recalibration. And when you emerge, you'll do so with a clarity and strength that makes sense of everything you've been through. But for now, your only job is to honor the call, to listen when your soul whispers that it's time to step away. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't to fight harder. It's to walk quietly into the unknown, trusting that the path will reveal itself as you go. And when you do, you join a lineage of countless souls throughout history who have done the same. You're not alone. Even if it feels like you are, there's an invisible network of others walking this path beside you, unseen but deeply connected. That's the paradox. By disappearing from the world, you actually find your true place in it. As we move into the next part of this journey, we'll explore the signs that this stage of withdrawal is approaching and how to navigate it with grace, without burning bridges or losing yourself in the process. Because disappearing quietly doesn't mean vanishing completely. It means stepping into a new way of being, one that the world desperately needs, even if it doesn't know it yet. Before we go deeper, take a moment to reflect on what resonated with you so far. And if this message has stirred something inside you, consider subscribing. Not for me, but for the version of you that's ready to rise, to evolve, and to return to the world carrying a light that no one can extinguish. Stay with me. The silence you crave isn't emptiness. It's the fertile ground where your next self is waiting to be born. This is only the beginning. In the next chapter of the Awakening trilogy, you'll discover the exact signs that show this quiet escape is already happening within you and what it truly means for your journey.